Group in India. Our work is focused on building powerful collaborations to improve social conditions in India, especially through education.
While the concept of informal mentoring through the traditions of gurus and shishya are ancient in India, the history of structured one-on-one relationships supported at the organizational level at a large scale is still relatively nascent. Mentoring has enormous power to transform India, but we cannot achieve this while working in silos. We are excited to kick off the inaugural National Mentoring Conference. Let's really use these 2 days to build the foundation for deeper relationships and continued collaboration. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Amol Gupta this morning.
The days I look forward to, and for the last 8 years, are Saturdays, where I kind of take wings from children. They are my mentors. The first step that a teacher has to take is to create a spec. The teaching aid system, which is imparting education to the teacher, how to educate, requires to be looked at, and only mentors can push it. So the idea is that if there is a failure, then it is the failure of the teacher. It cannot be the failure of the teacher.
So welcome everyone to this session. I want to sort of start off with a thought which came up with a comment made in the last session by Amol. Or was it? Diane, she's mentioned this. In life you can do what you want. And that's so important because I've learned that when we were setting a mentoring program, the challenge was not finding mentees. The challenge was screening mentors.
If there is a mentor or potential candidate who wants to be connected with the child, someone is there to be the bridge, right? Because you can't just go up to any child and say, hey, I want to mentor you. You need that bridge.
Our core aim is the transformation in mindset and also look at how we can really use technology more and more to enable something as vast as mentoring.
Sure.
When we've looked at one-on-one mentorship, in the spaces, I think, not so much the trends of the sector, but more the needs of children, right? Which should be the starting point of everything.
The impact from that relationship, as Arundavi said quite well, is that trust and that bond, and that with that one-on-one comes at a much deeper level. I think we are able to afford to have this model, high quality, high intensity model, because there are lots of people that are interested in also having this intensive one-on-one connection to a child.
Few activities, if it is done in group, then it will be more effective. It's like sharing of skills and knowledge.
So I think that we really need to work on the incentives that we are building for the mentors if you truly want to build a culture of volunteering / mentoring in India. The other reality is that there are so many more lives to change. So we've consciously as a company or organization taken a call that we will look at safety, we will look at basic impact.
At the end of the day, if they don't see an impact in the child that they're working with, they're going to leave.
Mentoring is long-term. It's not something where you're going to see a dramatic impact tomorrow.
When we partner with these organizations, we make sure, and our first thing which we discuss with them is child protection.
I think we've already set the agenda for 2 days of work. It's interesting how we moved away from a most initial session about focusing on the child. We started focusing more on the mentors also, which is interesting. The mentors were more reserved in their sort of views on how they impacted the kids, whereas the mentees felt that they were getting a lot from the program. We have limited resources in India. I think every model is going to work and different things are going to work for different people. Thanks a lot for being over here.
Starting with the school children themselves, who would be the senior students. So we are talking about buddy mentoring. Maybe children from the higher level, let's say of 9th and 10th graders or beyond that, would come in to mentor the little ones of primary school.
To have a one-on-one mentoring service mentoring opportunities between older women and girls from the same community, plus some group sessions where women themselves are able to portray themselves as some community leaders.
The 5 different paths, as Fiona mentioned, adopting a child or foster care or aftercare, all of these have already strong structures from the government. You have observation home, you have private orphanages, you have counseling, you have therapy. All of these are existing structures which we need to strengthen in a better manner when it comes to this particular policy, because you cannot make any better interventions.
Clearly the qualities of mentors across various mentorship programs cannot be vastly different. The kind of mentors we'll be looking at clearly are people who are entrepreneurs themselves, people who work in professional organizations and see the merits of the benefits of vocations they have chosen and the vocational training programs that they've been in.
When we all come together and we think of, that we want to really do something, there are so many ideas that come up and a lot of, you can say, these conflicts, right? There are some ideological differences, but I would just urge you to really focus on what the other person is saying, because I thought, especially in this group, a very, very different perspective came out. Even, in this group, when they said that if we are mentoring women, women are mentoring girls, and those women who are mentoring may not have had the environment that we want to create for mentees. So I think really thinking about these things really help, and that's when groups come into, they're really beneficial. And the last thing I would like to say is, these are just 4 examples where we can really, mentor in a very niche sector and also create that kind of focus. Because when we really partner with a government or a policy like this, it makes our mentoring a lot more, it gives us a direction. So if I'm doing a skill development mentoring and my mentee actually gets a job and is flourishing, I know exactly what I've done as a mentor. Right? So if we could really be creative, sit with a policy or a law and identify where we can add value, I think that's really where we will collectively create a lot of value.
Fundraising is all about relationships. The donors are more likely to see your program favorably. Unless until you let the donor know what is it that you are trying to do, how is somebody going to give to you for your own cause? We always have to keep the donor at the forefront and see what is the incentive of the donor to fund us. Once somebody has given to you, it is your duty to make sure they know what is happening with their grants. Whenever you are reaching out to the donors, personalize your approach. The more personal the approach is, the better the chances of success.
Take a step back and say, you have to now do this. You should be more empowered after some time. And it is on a case-to-case basis, because we have also realized that every case has very different requirements. So there are times and phases when which the intervention has to be a little more. And there are times when there's absolutely no intervention or no assistance really required. And it's important for the mentor to respect that. So there are times and phases when which the intervention has to be a little more. And there are times when there's absolutely no intervention or no assistance really required. And it's important for the mentor to respect that.
So mentoring is a very mutually empowering experience. You're not doing social service, you're not doing charity, you're not doing welfare approach. It's about empowerment of people. So just to conclude, I'd like to say, for the child, we cannot answer tomorrow. His name is today. Thank you.
We are looking to create a culture of volunteering, create a platform for mentoring to be looked upon as something which has not been looked the way it was before. We realized one thing, the first challenge that I think faced us is, and it will face a lot of organizations, is whom do you actually work with, and who do you define as children in need of care and protection. Don't let what you don't know stop you from doing what you know to do.
When you try to solve a problem, you're trying to get rid of something that is not working. But when you're actually creating, you're trying to build something that you really, really want. And you want to create that place to exist. So in Asiana, we try to create spaces which are safe for children. So I was just thinking about mentorship programs, and we usually focus on the education part of it, we focus on the vocational training part of it, but what we really need to focus on is on the emotional literacy part of it. Because these children who are in institutions, and especially closed institutions, they need to go back out in the society and adjust with the society. So can we teach them how to love, empathy, unconditional love, trust, be accountable, be good citizens? Can we teach them how every conflict is an opportunity to become closer to somebody? So these are some basic things, and I also feel that for mentorship program, while accountability, consistency is very important. In case of CNCP children, the triggers are far too many. So to be that, and that's why the need is that much more for a mentorship program inside children's home or closed institutions. And lastly, the impact measurement of mentorship program with CNCP children cannot be how many kids have gone to school. It will have to be these small cases of a blind child who's just opened up like this, or like the other child who trusts, and there's so many cases of children opening up after 1 year, 1.5 years. Till then you're just trying, you're just being there, you're just being present. So we will have to relook at the impact measurement processes for programs inside the children's home.
So why do we need volunteers for any organization? You need basic manpower, yes. Affordability. Engaging the community, getting volunteers from the community so that you have a big effect which spreads on. Yeah. You can reach out to more number of people. We look for in volunteers is they should be very passionate, right? What are the other things that you look for in volunteers that you want? We really need our volunteers to be professional, right? So for us, flexibility was very, very important. Enthusiasm and then collaboration, right? I think we really wanted them to be part of be aligned with our mission, right? That was very, very important.
This essentially, number 2, is the crux of our model. You can't have impact. You can't have any impact without having strong mentor-mentor relationships. Everything hinges on virtue. Because of that, and because having a mentor who has jobs in different fields, who they have office, etc., mentees are able to develop aspirations for themselves.
With impact assessment, one of the biggest advantages is if you think out of the box, if you think ambidextrously. You have to filter and prioritize what will get you the right result. After you've designed the tool, you implement it, you find out and you go and get the answers. It's really, really important to ensure the mentor and mentee have the same compatibility, at least.
As a society, we haven't had much of an opportunity to volunteer during our growing up years.
Yeah.
And so finally, when we reach adulthood and we can decide, we don't even get an opportunity to decide what job or what education we want to get into in the first place. So finally, when we take the first step and say, okay, now I want to do something by myself, and that happens to be volunteering, is an individual who is completely unexposed to the reality. Corporate volunteers, 2 reasons for us why they made a lot of sense was because the efficiency that it builds into the operations. So suddenly, for example, I know if I'm going to partner with TCS, then I know the typical profile of a volunteer. I know the numbers that I can get. I know the locations which I can get. So no more will I go randomly to the NGOs promising random volunteering projects or availability. The first thing that we do is try and check with availability. So one part is to kind of show them the mirror of what is their ability to kind of do this.
The average person doesn't know. You have to assume that simplify everything, because you don't want to try and impress people. Just try and communicate clearly. That is more important. These days, imagery is what sells. If your website is too text heavy, you just lose people. I mean, the attention span of people is just not there. If you do have text, you have to be very concise in what you're saying. How to be powerful and concise in what you're saying. What is that one hook? Why is mentoring important? you know? So putting it in that context, and that's where I find that having creative, filmy and advertising kind of minds, if you can get someone to do some pro bono work for you, to actually ideate and come up with a script for a film, it's invaluable because the problem was I was not spending enough money on what I wanted. You don't spend too much money up front, but at certain points you do have to invest.
So are we clear what we're doing individually? Goals for building a mentoring culture.
Creating a platform for mutually beneficial relationships, communities and societies.
Better lives.
To better lives in communities, societies.
Prepare a plan, how do we achieve it? These are the goals.
Brilliant.
Vision, develop a vision, and vision we always have, I mean that was there. Now have a proper plan as to how we will go about achieving our goals.
Thank you. Hopefully we've gotten one step further into building a collaborative platform, whether it's in the form of a movie or a website or a curriculum or a training model. Thank you for being such enthusiastic participants, and hopefully we can take it forward to I heard somebody say the action plan, which is the execution of the vision. That's it.